We're going to talk Jets, and one of their tight ends is in the house. With us in studio, Tyler Conklin. We had a chance to chat a little bit before we opened up the mics. How you doing, brother? You good?
Good. Appreciate you having me.
Congratulations. You got married on April 12th.
I did.
You did.
Right.
Yeah. I love that, man. How was married
awesome.
life as an NFLer for the first time in your career?
Different yet, but it was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, right?
So we had a little destination wedding in Cabo with the family, so it was a lot of fun.
Keyword yet. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I've been waiting on it from what I hear. So
How many years were you guys engaged?
So we went to high school together, actually.
Oh, wow.
She was
You
2
guys
years
know
younger
each
than
other.
me. Didn't date in high school. but
Okay.
She waited for me to get some money.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I think you might be a star. Let him bank a few couple of million.
I gotta make him earn
I'll
it.
circle back.
Where's the ring? It better be a nice one. You made some money yet? Yes. Okay, we can get married now.
Jeez.
That's
No,
awesome.
it worked out perfect.
That's
Known each
awesome.
other for a long time. It's nice being able to go home to the same place and calling it home.
100%.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
congrats, dude.
So your offseason has been very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
BT and I have talked about it almost ad nauseum. We were like fitting in Aaron Rodgers conversations where it didn't even belong because this dude, as the resident Jet fan, the ridiculous resident Jet fan, was so excited about the Aaron Rodgers addition to this team. What's it felt like from an internal perspective from you guys? Because he's a legend and he's still living.
Yeah, part of it doesn't feel real at times. Like just the fact that he is a legend and a Hall of Famer, and like there was those couple months where it just felt like it was dragging on. Like, okay, is he coming? Is he not coming? And everybody's asking, family, friends, like, you're gonna play with Aaron Rodgers? How would that feel? And it's like, I'm just gonna sit here and wait until it's done, and then we'll be happy about it. So the fact that, like, I guess those theatrics and the fact that he's there and it's signed and we're good to go is a good feeling.
Did you guys know? Did you know it was going to happen, or was there any doubt?
I mean, there was always going to be a little bit of doubt until it was for sure,
Yeah.
especially just with all the hype that was coming along with it.
I mean, you had sauce burning cheese heads. Remember that?
Sauce,
They were around their
sauce,
backyard?
sauce is a funny one.
Oh, he's a trip, that guy.
It's a Michigan guy.
Yeah, I listen, Detroit, right? He's from Detroit.
He's with Detroit, yeah.
I was never worried. But as a Jets fan, now you've only been there's a year or two for you. On some level, you're always worried that the Jets will mess it up.
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, so I mean, Lions fans tend to feel
but
the
you weren't a Lions
same way.
fan. You said you're a Bears fan.
No. My dad was. I was a Packers fan. Growing
Packers,
up.
Packers,
My dad
that's
was
right.
a Bears fan from Michigan. Played in Minnesota, so we had the whole NFC.
Yep, so you
NFC
get it.
North.
I got to tell you, I'm an eternal optimist. I think some Jet fans are fatalists, which I'm not saying I don't cross over and lose my mind. I do. But at the end of the day, I'm genuinely positive. I look at this offense, man, and as long as the O-line is not even great, good, which I think it will be, this team should score 30 points most weeks. I mean, who's going to stop this offense?
I think the offensive line is going to be a really strong point of the offense. I'm excited to see Mekhi out there, healthy and in the shape that he's in.
Is he really in good shape?
He's in good shape.
Because we saw
Really in good
pictures, and you say he looks great,
Looks
but we
too
don't know.
skinny almost. Like I could take him now.
Stop.
That's a big boy.
I'm teasing.
But no, I'm excited to see him because I haven't got to play with him, so I'm excited to line up next to him and play with him. And I feel like they signed a lot of depth. People like Billy Turner and things like that. So I'm excited. I think Elijah Vera Tucker is one of the best offensive linemen in the National Football League, in my opinion.
What do you think is his best position ultimately? Because he played three spots as a rookie.
Yeah, left and right. And
I mean, how well he played at all three of them kind of makes it hard to say which one he was best at. I feel like I think he likes guard the most.
Okay.
I don't know. He's just so athletic, and he made all of them look,
easy,
pretty easy.
He's
So
talented.
it's kind
He's
of hard
good.
to say.
Let me get back to Aaron real quick because he's the story of this offseason. What was the first thing he said to you guys as a team? Like,
You guys want to get high?
ayahuasca?
You guys trip out yet or no?
I haven't tripped out yet. I wouldn't be against it though, because whatever he's doing works, obviously. So
Well, you would be open. You would give it a shot.
I mean,
the ayahuasca?
18 years in the Hall of Famer, so
Yeah.
I mean, he's
You
got
look like
he's got some type of secret.
You look like you could go on a little trip. You got the
The
hair, you got
tattoos
the
with
man
hair,
bun,
which
the
one-
tats,
which
you got
one
the
is it?
beard. You look like you'd fit right in. Go for a trip with Aaron.
What was
We'll
his
talk about it.
first message to you guys, though?
It's kind of hard for me to.
I mean, was he like, we're winning the Super Bowl? Or was he kind of like, let's just take this one day at a time? You got a lot to learn. You know what I mean?
I think the first message was just the fact that he was at OTAs and there every day. 'Cause, like from what I heard going into things, like he usually wasn't at OTAs, and there's the fact of how happy he is. It seems to be in New York. He's at the Tonys. He's here. He's there. He's at MSG basketball games, and then just the way he is in meetings. Like he's very. Like, I mean, when he talks, you just shut up and listen. And there's kind of just a method to his madness. He's always like kind of asking questions. Like, he's truly another coach in there. You'll get installed, and he might stop and ask someone a random question. Like, what kind of break would you have here? Would you break down? Would you speed cut it? What would it be? And then based off your answer, I would expect you to do this because, the spacing on this concept.
Do you feel intimidated?
So,
I mean, is that intimidating? You know what I mean?
It keeps you on your
you're
toes. Like you're not in meetings like, falling asleep now because you're, if you get questions, because the thing for me is like, I'm sure it's like this for a lot of people on our offense now, is to be able to play with somebody that is a Hall of Famer and done what he's done. It makes you want to play well for him. Like I want to go out there and I want him to play with me and be like, wow, that's one of the better tight ends I've ever played with.
Yeah. Because you feel like he can lift your career in a lot of ways.
I feel like he can lift, 100%.
He's going to be good for you.
I think everybody feels
like
that way. And I feel like I'm just kind of coming on to, getting this. My first year starting was my last year in Minnesota 2 years ago. And then, getting another chance here last year to start. And
that's
so
right.
now I feel like in this league, you have to, doesn't matter how long you're in the league. If you're not playing in this league, you're not really getting better. You can do whatever you want to do in practice. You can prepare your butt off, do whatever. But until you're in the fire and live bullets, it's But then when you start, you see how fast you improve once you start getting that confidence settling in and trusting yourself.
I got you.
Go ahead. You're going to reset.
We got Tyler Conklin in the studio with the Jets. Go ahead, T.
When you first came to the Jets last year, they hadn't really done anything. The expectation was still, it was evolving. They hadn't become a team that was expected to do good things. Last year they were. What did you think about the Jets from afar, Minnesota, where you were, to coming to this team? What was your expectation? Like, what did you think about the Jets? You know what I mean? Because I remember when I was playing, we had this thought about certain teams. And what did you think about the Jets?
I never really thought about the Jets in general. Just, I guess, being from the Midwest, being in the NFC for so long, like Packers fan, Lions, the Bears. Like, it was just New York, and the Jets was just a whole different.
We didn't bother anybody.
It was just a whole different world. Like, I was, including. So I just never really thought about it too much. And then coming here and realizing how good of a fan base it is and, getting to experience the East Coast and the city and stuff, it's been really, I've loved it so far.
That's awesome. All right. We'll get back to Rodgers, I'm sure, at some point here. I got a couple of questions about Zach Wilson because you played with him last year. You've seen him so far this year. I got to bring up something that I thought was a big problem for the Jets last year. I said it on the air, and I'd be disingenuous if I didn't say it to you. Although I'm not saying you spearheaded it, but you were obviously, you saw it and you were a part of it to an extent. Once the team fractured and was so publicly supportive of Mike White, I thought that was a bad move. And not so much the players. I had an issue with Robert Saleh letting that happen because you guys are, ironically, going out to Minnesota and you should have won the game. Barrios, who has good hands, if he holds on to that, you guys are going to win that game.
I can't thought it was a very good game for
that
me.
Was a tough one.
I'm not going to speak on that one.
I hear you. Trust me, that was a tough one. You getting on the plane, get the Mike White shirts. If I'm Robert Saleh, I've got to have the coaching instincts to say, hey, guys, I respect what you're doing, but this kid's 22 years old and his mind is a mess.
Yeah.
I thought that was a big mistake by Saleh. Did you guys feel like it was a mistake in real time? Like you were almost just burying dirt on Zach?
Yeah, happy brought it up because no one, people usually avoid the tough questions, right? People don't want to bring it up. But, looking back at it as a teammate and player, like it's a tough situation because you got someone that's getting their first opportunity to be a starter. And sometimes in this league, that opportunity, like even for me, like I used to think I'd rather get my opportunity and blow it than to never get my opportunity and be like, well, I think I could have done this, right? Because
Makes sense.
Sometimes, like, after being in the league for going on 6 years, I've realized that some people might not ever get their opportunity. So you want to support somebody in that sense and your teammate in that sense because you want them to take advantage of that opportunity. And as it was happening, then you start hearing some of the backlash, and then you think about like what Zach was going through, and you kind of look at yourself and like, dang, probably could have handled that better. And I'm sure. If it probably didn't feel good for him. I do think that in the locker room and like some of his personal relationships, I think that he knows that people, cared about him, supported him, and it wasn't anything like to try to hurt him or anything. It was more of trying to support somebody else. But I'm thinking back to being, 22, 21 years old, and in New York, which I was like
quarterback.
And like they tell you, New York media is crazy. And I'm like, it'll be all right. It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And then you get here, and you're like,
just don't lose to the Bills in week 1. Watch how bad it gets.
Yeah, I'm about to say. And then you get out here, like, man, they can be brutal.
Yeah.
So it's a hard question to answer. It was a hard situation to handle. I guess looking back at it, could have been probably handled better. Yeah. Was it malicious? No.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. I just want to follow up with that, T. I never thought it was malicious. I just thought it was counterproductive. All right.
Yeah.
And then, and I talk about this a lot. I generally bring it up as a question because I'm not in the locker room with you guys. I think he's, I want to talk about your coach for a little bit here. Great people person, highly respected around the league, and he's got a chance to be a good coach, Robert Saleh. I wonder / fear if he's tough enough on you guys. I don't mean old school tough like it used to be in the 70s. Those days are done. Mm-hmm. But does he command the entire team and from a discipline point of view the way a head coach should? Does he give you guys that?
Yeah, I don't think that's something that really needs to be worried about. I do think he commands the team. Like you, just like Aaron, like you shut up and listen to coach when he talks. I think one of the things he does best is he lives a life that, like, what he expects from you as a player, he lives that too. Like, he works hard himself. He's always grinding, whether it's him in the weight room working out at 5 a.m. or him staying late. Like, you can see him doing that. It's easy to play for somebody when they're doing what they expect of you. And he commands the room. I think from a distance, like, we are, like, which is kind of the new NFL. I'm not sure if it was like that when you were playing, where you can go in and talk to your coach and be like, hey, I don't know.
Well,
like,
depend on what coach it was.
Yeah, so I think he has
Tom Coughlin. You want to go have some shots, coach?
Not so much.
Yeah, I've heard about Tom Coughlin a little bit, but I think that he has a good mix. Like, you feel you can go in and talk to him, and that he'll be responsive to it. But if he thinks what you're asking is stupid or just he doesn't want to do it, like, he's gonna say, okay, guys, like, at this point, I feel like you just are trying to get out of working hard or something. So I think he does. I think he does command a room, but I think he does have a good presence where, like, you feel you can go talk to him, and he is a player's coach, but he still has a little old school. He's a defensive guy. Yeah. I feel like all defensive guys tend to be a little more old school than
without a doubt.
Than the offensive
ultimately,
guys.
We're going to circle back to quarterback. So we'll get back to Aaron Rodgers. We'll get back to Zach Wilson in a second because his future is murky.
Who's
right?
Zach?
Zach. It's murky. We'll get back to it in a second. How much is Nate Hackett going to help Robert Saleh, because he now doesn't have to worry, it's the wrong word, but let's use it, to worry about the offense? And what has Nate meant to you all? Because we knew what LaFleur's, his issues were, right? He was just young, just wasn't prepared to develop and be an offensive coordinator at the same time. He had a young quarterback, and he had a new offense that it was just too much for him. We all know this. How much is Nate Hackett going to help change that just from your early returns on? Because I love the guy. But what do you think of him?
I love him too. And like I think you hit on with LaFleur is there's so many variables as players and coaches that go into us being successful that everybody else doesn't see. And I think with Coach Hackett, what he does really well is he's a great teacher. Mm-hmm. Now, he takes pride in being a good teacher. He tries to make sure, like, his how he's installing stuff and how he does things, he tries to find ways to make it easy for you to learn. He tries to find ways to help you grasp it. And then on top of it, now you have Aaron too, who's basically a coach. Yeah. And he does things in a specific way, whether it's ways to get free plays, like we all know, or just certain types of throws. Hey, if you're running this, like, kind of expect this throw, or so there's just so much, I guess you could say, structure now. Mm-hmm. And to tie Zach into it, I think that, like, there's not a better combination of people to help him be successful. I mean, like we talked about, he's 22 years old. He's a kid. He's talented. He got thrown into the fire in New York City. I mean, has there really been a ton of people at quarterback to get thrown into New York City and thrive?
No.
It's tough. So I think, obviously it's a win now league. Everybody wants instant gratification, but I don't think that his career's over or anything. I think he has a chance to be a really good player still, especially with Aaron and Hackett here to help him grow. I think we've already seen improvement in OTAs.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Tyler Conklin is with us in studio, Jets tight end here on the Fantiki and Tierney show. It's one thing to not diagnose what's in front of you when you're a kid. I mean, that happens. These guys are big and fast and stronger than college. There are complexities of an NFL defense. It's hard, okay? Yeah. What I thought was, I won't say the nail in the coffin, because I do think he can have a resurrection here with, like, down the road. This year, it's Rodgers' show, and next year as well. So I'm not closing the book on Zach, but when he didn't take ownership of his own play, the Patriots game, I forget the way the question was asked, like, he basically absolved himself in the offense. Yeah, you can say it was a rookie move, didn't read the room well. And again, I'm not there, so I'm asking the question. Was that the point where guys kind of looked around and were like, I don't know, man. I know that you respect him, and I know that you still, even with the Mike White stuff, you still have his back now. But at that point, that had to present a little bit of a fracture inside the locker room that he didn't stick the thumb at his own chest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm guessing as soon as he said that, he probably knew it was the wrong thing to say. Because the way I look at it, almost any position, right, especially quarterback, if you could play the best game of your life and lose, and you could play a bad game and lose, at the end of the day, like, you're probably apologizing. You're probably taking ownership of that, no matter what. And I think he realized that, and it was just obviously a lesson learned, a big lesson. Like, that's a tough one to learn from, but you are going to learn from it. I guarantee he doesn't make that mistake again.
Yeah. What made it hard, exacerbated it, is that Saleh benched him the next week. And so it felt more terminal than it probably was. Yeah. But you couldn't discount it. You couldn't just say, it was just a young kid being, because the coach benched him. You know what I mean? So he almost did a disservice to Zach by benching him right after that happened,
making it seem like it was worse than it really was. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It almost made it too punitive. And then, because remember, we were talking about this, because it's our job to analyze. And as I told the Giants when we went over there and spoke to them last year, I said, don't listen to anything we say, because it doesn't mean anything to what you guys are doing. But in real time, I was saying to myself, how are you going to fix a guy in the middle of a season? It's just impossible. Like, he's not going to get the reps. And especially if he's demoted to the third string quarterback, he's barely even doing the scouts team stuff. So it never made sense. So I almost feel like it was a misfire on Robert Saleh's part, and I felt that broke Zach for the season. And it broke it in the fans' standpoint. Because I went to the Detroit Lions game.
It don't take much to break these fans.
Oh, no, you're right. Sometimes. But I went to the Detroit Lions game. I was at the Jets game. I got suckered into it. My friend of mine.
Is that the game where your daughter was wearing a Jets cheerleaders outfit? Yeah, we saw that picture.
She's going Jets. I'm like, Brooklyn, what the hell are you doing?
Conversion,
right? But I was at that game. It was like the fans were just waiting to boo him. Yeah. And he played pretty well, right? He had the big touchdown, and then to you.
Yeah, that was the one.
No, he threw one to CJ.
That was CJ. That was
corner post. CJ had two that game.
That's a great play.
And it was just kind of like the fans were just waiting to boo.
Yep.
And it's hard to get back from that unless you're great. You know what I mean? So the question is, how does he get back from that?
Yeah, I mean that's hard for anybody, right? I like to think I'm pretty like mentally resilient, and I think most of us at this level think we are, but. You know, I would put myself in his shoes sometimes during the season, and like you feel for him, because that would be such a hard situation to be in.
Yeah.
And then we keep talking about the age and all these things. Like, that's a lot. And just coming from Utah, BYU, he just had a completely different upbringing. So to go from that to New York City is like, I mean, it couldn't have been more of a dramatic difference probably for him, culture-wise and all those things. And that's where it comes back to kind of where we started, just variables. Like, so many things that go into it. Like we talked about, at this point, the coaching staff is 2 years in. We're in a market that doesn't wait for you to have a chance to win. So there's pressure on you as coaches to win. There's pressure on you as a quarterback to play well. And, Coach LaFleur was young as an OC. So we have all these pieces. The whole team's young. And so I'm sure we could all look back at it, and just like we all look back at any game, like we wish we would have did this. We could have did better here. We could have handled this better. I mean, we can always, look back and wish we would have did things differently. But I just think sometimes you got to give the kid a little bit of grace, because, he's been – I mean, it's just – when you really think about everything he's been through and the difference, who knows how it would have been if he had 2-3, like in a Jordan Love situation or something like that, where you don't have to worry about the confidence. You're sitting there.
Even Aaron Rodgers himself. He sat behind
Brett Favre. And what, the Green Bay's had 2 quarterbacks in 30 years?
It's
35 years, whatever
That's
it
insane.
is. I mean, so I think that, something like that, we're not going to find out. Obviously, that's past. That didn't happen. But now he kind of has a chance. So I think as long as he can, mentally, overcome what he needs to overcome with Hackett and, Coach Hackett is – it's weird because he's so smart, but like his personality is just so like, I don't know, it's hard to explain his personality.
I know exactly what you mean.
But I'm saying, but he's great. It's hard to not love him right away.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I just keep coming back. There's no better situation for Zach to end up being the player he wants to be if that's what he wants.
So the Jets offense is really well-rounded and fairly dynamic in most spots. The Jets offense with Breece Hall going back to being Breece Hall changes the entire equation. I know you've seen him around the building. How's he look? I mean, is he moving pretty good? He looks like he's going to be ready week 1, you think?
He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because like you watch him run and stuff, and like sometimes it looks like lackadaisical in a sense, and then all of a sudden he's like 22, 23 miles per hour, and you're like, or he's just pulling away from people, and you're like, it doesn't look like he's running that fast, but no one's catching him. But But yeah, he looks really good.
Healthy? Totally healthy?
About the thing, I think Coach Salah said something about, he already hit like 21 or 22 miles per hour GPS. I've been out there doing stuff with him, and, he's cutting normal, and I ask him how he feels, and he says he feels fine. So I think if anybody's going to bounce back quickly, it's going to be him.
Lateral movement matters the most.
Yeah, and he's been doing it when I see him out there, he's lateral movement, jump cuts, cutting, hoop drill, whatever, running backs do. That's a different world for me. Moving behind the line of scrimmage is like a whole different world to me sometimes. I get back there for fullback, and I'm like, all right, tell me tell me where to go.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Where do I enter here?
You got to be the F. The F is the man.
The
I
F
love
is
the
good
F.
until you got to run 15 week the whole time, and obviously just banging heads with a backer.
Yep.
I'll take the past 15 weeks get into the flat.
My fullbacks got the best gifts because they took all my hits.
Yeah, man. I bet. Yeah. I don't know if you love me at fullback. The game just moves so different back there, in my opinion.
It does.
Like from being on the line of scrimmage to
how's the kid? Is he all right?
Oh, I love Jeremy.
Can he play?
He can play.
I know he's from here.
Rucker reminds me. He reminds me like a lot of myself in the way that we move. Like we're similar builds. We run routes similar, and like tight end does take time to develop. Obviously, he was banged. He had coming off his injury last year.
The ankle, like there's something with his foot, right?
There's something with his foot, and then kind of like I said, like until you get thrown in that fight, you don't get to develop. And I think that's even more true at tight end because how many things you have to try to be good at: pass protection, run game, pass game. You got to be able to do everything, and even getting the snap count can be hard at the line of scrimmage because you're all the way at the end and you're like you got the ball like I can't hear you and I can't look at you. So
how do you hear it?
I like to think we're at some disadvantage at tight end, but it's kind of what makes it such a brotherhood and it makes it fun. But Jeremy, he's gonna be really good.
You played basketball, right?
Yeah, I played
growing
basketball.
up, and you went to college for basketball.
Yeah, I went to college initially out of high school.
Chips, right? Chips.
I went to play basketball.
Chips.
I actually went and played Division II basketball at Northwood University. It's like in the GLIA, like Grand Valley State, Ferris State. I don't know.
Why'd you stop it? Like what?
I just thought I should have been playing somewhere bigger. Yeah, like I thought I should have been like my whole goal when I was a kid was like, okay, I'm gonna be the first Division I athlete in my family. I'm gonna be a professional athlete, and then, I could talk about this story forever because there was just so many different like obstacles and things that happened. But
what was the biggest one? Give us one obstacle, like a real big, like a life-changing obstacle.
Quickest way to go over. Well, I was on a full ride scholarship at Northwood, so then I left. Walked on at Central Michigan, so parents were freaking out about that. Cause like free school, you're just homesick. It's just your first semester, and I'm like, no, I'm leaving. And then
because you knew basketball wasn't right, or you knew
I thought I should have been playing at like I had some like mid majors looking at me, and I ended up signing early signing period. So I signed before I even played my senior year of basketball, and right after football. And when I was going to do my football recruiting, Northwood kind of like tried to scare me, like, oh, if you don't take the scholarship, it may not be there. So I'm like, oh, I'm the only person in my family that ever has to handle this. Like, I'm going to give my parents the free school. And then, like, a semester later, they're freaking out because I'm like, all right, I'm paying for school now. But then I went to Central, and I played receiver for a couple of weeks, and they moved me to D-end. And I'm like, I blew it. I just left free school, and now I'm playing D-end. I'm like, I'm in trouble. Then I was going to leave Central because I was going to go somewhere and play both sports. I'm like, maybe I just want to play both sports.
Oh, wow.
Why don't you start pitching?
I know.
Give that a shot.
And then luckily that didn't happen. And then I asked them to move me to tight end. I went to tight end. And
you asked them to move you there.
I was because
wow.
This story, I'm trying to graze over it.
All good.
So I asked them to move me because, one of the schools I was going to go play both at was a small school, my high school quarterback. And so I went up there and did a workout, actually. They gave me a scholarship. They sent the scholarship. They sent like the release form to Central Michigan. I just got done golfing, and I was really just drinking because whatever. I was out there drinking, not golfing. Wasn't much of a golfer, especially at that time. And the DN coach calls me like, "What's this release? Form?" And I'm like,
"Uh-oh."
I'm a little tipsy too, and I'm like,
I'm piecing out. Coach
Rick of Strix, listen to this, and I'm like, I don't know what that's from, Coach. I think
I don't know what that's from.
I was like, I really didn't want to talk to you about moving to tight end though. And he's like, let me get back to you. And I'm like, all right. And then nothing was ever said about the release form again. They told me They told me I could move to tight end, so I ended up moving to tight end. And then Coach Romore, he was my tight end coach. He's the OC at Michigan now, so he was big for my development. I was like the 8th tight end of 8 tight ends, and slowly moved my way up. Back up for a year, then I started my junior year, and then the first day of camp, my senior year, I broke my foot.
Yep.
And so Jones fracture. So And I missed the first 6 or 7 games of that season. So it was just kind of
Yeah,
ups and
it's a tough
downs.
journey.
And then you came back and you had 8
Respect.
catches for 139 yards and a touchdown.
And then I went to the combine, and everybody was like, I don't know, you don't look the same. And I'm like, I feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, like the way you run or physically, like
Like,
strength
they said I was bigger. Like, I went to that combine heavy because I'm like, they said I can't block. I'm only a receiver. So then I went in heavy, and that probably should have just been me instead of worrying
Gotcha.
about trying to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah, Minnesota took a chance, and here you are with
And
the
then
Jets.
and then the advert, and then it all started over again. Just had
Yeah.
to wait my turn. But
Yeah.
that's where like the walk-on thing paid off a lot.
Let me ask you about
That's a good story.
it is a really good story. I knew a little bit of it, but not the depth of it. The Jets' expectations this season. I mean, last year they were high. I mean, BT's like, oh, we have a chance. Make it
Well,
the
I
Super
didn't say
Bowl.
chance to make the playoff. I didn't say
but
we'd make a
I
Super
mean, you
Bowl
would have been
last
right.
year.
We should have.
Last year
made
you could have
playoffs.
because your defense was top 5.
Should've.
Right? They did amazing things and then just got worn out because the offense became inconsistent.
Yeah.
Forget last year. This season, I mean, the Jets are one of the favorites to be at, maybe even win the Super Bowl. How are you guys handling that? Right? Because it can't be a foregone conclusion because that's when you stop working. But how are you guys handling the immense expectation that now is on this Jets team?
I think that's where we come back to Aaron and some of these veterans they brought, Randall Cobb, and people that have been in the league for so long, that have won playoff games, been to Super Bowls. And then I think it's also just learn how to ignore the media, like you're told since you're in college, right? Don't get too high, don't get too low, don't listen to the media when they like it, don't listen to them when they don't like it.
Come on the fan, but don't listen to the fan.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's probably really good advice, actually. I just think that, with the leadership we have in the building now, and because now we're like at a good mix of like a lot of really talented young guys, people like 4, 5, 6 years in, like me.
Yeah.
You got guys that are 10, 11, and you got Aaron who's 18. So, you have a good mix of experience, and I think we're, what we went through last year with, playing well and then seeing what can happen when things go wrong. I think that adversity will teach us a lot, and I think we're poised to handle our business week by week.
How listen, I get it. One game at a time, blah, blah, blah. But
cliche.
It is, and it applies.
That's the truth, though.
But you got to start off fast this year. You guys need a quick start.
Yeah.
You at least feel that?
I think the fans feel that more than we feel that. I think the fact that the football is a long football season, and obviously we want to go 17-0 and start quick. And I think from a young team confidence standpoint, I think there would be a lot to that. But we also started quick this year, and we saw how that went. So I think you look at football games, and most games are won and lost by 6 points. So when I was in Minnesota my last year, we were 8-9 or something, and we lost like 8 games by an overtime or 3 points.
Yep.
And then you walked Minnesota last year, and they were 13-4, whatever they were, and they won all those games. So the only difference really in that team was the fact they just won the close games. And I think that's the beauty of football, and that's why everybody loves it, because it's 17 important weeks and every play matters. And I think as long as we just the cliche of just play by play, the week by week, it doesn't matter if you lose. I mean, this is not what we want to happen, but if you lose the first couple of games, that's the end of the world.
It's going to sound like it's the end of the world.
Unless you make it the end of the world. And no worries, Jets fans, we're not going to do that. But
not a boy.
I'm just saying, like, you can't get too up, can't get too down. I mean, we're gonna make it happen.
We are ready.
I mean, we're all excited about it.
The fans, we are beyond.
We're gonna wait to prove it. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it. We're gonna go out there and play some football games first before I sit here and
when you
rave
do,
about
you'll
what
come
we're
back
gonna
on
do.
and we'll give you the love
after we get to win the Super Bowl, and we'll come back on and talk about it, have a couple drinks.
All right, yeah.
I like
I already promised Good Morning Football. I got a tattoo on live television, so
Nice.
we'll get to Lombardi on there.
You got an artist to do it?
Yeah, I got one. We'll get it done. I mean,
Nah,
we don't got much space left.
Yeah, right. You're tatted up.
The funny thing is, when I was growing up, I used to watch Jeremy Shockey, and I'm like, dude, he's got so many tattoos.
The American, what
And
was he, the big bald eagle?
And then
they
I
got
looked,
that
I
late.
looked at it. He has one half sleeve. I'm like, well, I did all this because I thought Jeremy Shockey was tatted.
That's funny. Are you plugging anything, or you just came to chat?
We just came to chat.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
He's a Left Celtic
Man of
guy,
the people,
man.
Tyler
He's a
Conklin.
Max Left Celtic guy. By the way, Max
you're
Left
back in the
Celtic,
family,
congratulations.
huh?
Yeah,
All right,
back in
dude.
family.
Yeah, he just got married. Max just had a baby.
I did know that.
Peyton
Yep.
Kendall, which is awesome.
Probably not far
congrats.
behind him.
No, really?
You got to get him a gift.
Oh,
bro.
she wants him bad.
Got to get him a gift, baby.
I don't know about that.
Did
He's
he
already
go to your
he's already
wedding?
taken
No,
my
you didn't
money.
know him that well. Did he go to your wedding?
No, not yet. I mean, we just did this.
Oh, I got you.
He's new to the Left
Listen.
Celtic.
Yeah, we're
family.
getting there though.
Tyler, great having you in the studio, bud.
Yeah, appreciate you.
We're
Yeah, it was
revved
fun.
up. We're ready.
Good chatting.
Nice chat, man. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Appreciate having me.
Good luck
Stick
to you,
around,
and
we'll BS for a
congratulations too,
second.
by the way, on
There
your
you go.
marriage.